and we have 4 aux outputs for the monitors. So we would use first for the singers, second for leader, and a third for instruments, as we do at church. And the 4th we use for the live stream separately, so we can mix the sound. And these are inputs. It doesn't matter how you plug it, like I wouldn't go into details, but basically whatever you plug on the snake back there on the that is on a stage, you need to plug accordingly here, right? So today we have mic 1, mic 2, and a boom mic. So that was the setup for today. The third one was a boom mic. And then what you do is, like, here are the labels with the IP address and a password, and you need to connect to a Wi-Fi, which we did on this tablet. You open a browser with a IP address in the browser, which is also written here on a board, and you have a digital representation of board, right? You don't have physical faders, but you have digital representation. So, like, I don't want to go into too many details, but there is basically what you need to know is when you press on a mix gain and it's red, you have a main gain knob, which is a top knob on a usual mixer, like on this one, where you need to set up gain first, and then when you switch back, you have all your faders, which you control the volume with, basically. And how you control what is sent to singers, to these auxes, is you can switch to edit per channel. Like you select vocal 1, you click on edit, and then you have all the controls for the channel number 1, EQ, compression, effects, and the last tab is aux send. And here you can see that we send the vocal 1 to aux 4, which goes to the live stream, right? And like we send each channel 1, 2, and 3. Like if I'll switch to vocal 2, you can see also sending to aux 4, and the other also sending to aux 4. If there will be a band, you'll have to send it to aux 1 and like to aux 2 and to aux 3, depending on what the configuration of the band and the needs will be. Because, like, for example, for the worship leader, he probably wouldn't want to have all the vocalists. He would, like, maybe have 1 or 2 vocalists, let's say himself, his guitar, for example, and a drum. But, like, vocalists would want to have all vocals there, for example, and a drum, and so on. So this might vary on what is the needs for the mixing. Also, yeah, so to see all the channels, you have to scroll left, and there is a playback for music somewhere here that says line in, like 2 faders that are controlling it, and the input for it is this. It's here, like you just have a regular cable that you plug into your phone and play back some music. That's basically the sound part. Let me show you the box there where it is. So these are the letters, because that's what used for auxes, right? So aux is A, B, and C plugged there in the snake, and everything else is plugged like numbers 1, 2, and 3. So if we go back to search before we replaced it with what we use currently, so here it's plug mic 1, mic 2, and mic 3, and here is where the output for main speakers is, which will also are, I didn't show you there, but the last 2, the G and H, going to the speakers. And what else? Yeah, so how the main speakers are plugged in, it's like a regular XLR cable, and then here is the transition. So the XLR comes in, and this goes out to the speaker itself, because it doesn't have an XLR, it has only the line input. So we'll leave it plugged in, but so you know, right? So this is how it's connected. It's written, and it's the same way we connect the speakers at church, basically. This box, so in-ears are in this box. It's the same box we use at church. This was the preacher mic we used on one of the speakers today, and another one was just we got another wireless, and it's also somewhere, yeah, on the floor there. That was the second one we used today. Yeah, neat, but it depends on how wireless is working here. It wasn't working very nice when everything was turned on. We'll have to see. But like, besides that, the setup on a Snake is the same at church, right? You plug, whatever you plug in here, you need to... this is the Mac Mini, where the slides are, right? It's set up here. And it has 3 outputs on a Mac Mini. So one output goes to this screen. Another output goes to that monitor. And I'll show you the cable now, because that's important. So the cable itself, you see, it goes inside the cupboard, and the way it is plugged in, that is the cable that comes from the big TV here. So it goes all the way in the wall into the TV. And here is this cable that you plug into the Mac Mini.
Yeah.
So that's how you connect the big screen. Is HDMI. It goes to this contraption, and that's a little bit more complicated, because what we need to do is, or we had to do before, we had to split the signal. Like, we had to get signal from a Mac Mini and split it to give it to myself. A top splitter, where it comes in. If you'll just trace the cable, it comes in here. It says in. And then it has 2 outputs, like one is going to one of the other boxes, which gives it to the multi-view screen, and another doesn't go anywhere right now because we don't need it, but we might need it. All other 4 boxes are just also splitters, and how it works is basically the source comes in from the camera, the cable goes straight here, let's say this camera. And then it goes to a respective number HDMI. Like, the numbers are written on the cables here. So there is HDMI 1, HDMI 2, HDMI 3 and 4. And these sources are going to the input. So HDMI 1 is the main camera, this angle. So cable from this camera goes into HDMI 1. And then 2 cables go out of it because it splits the signal. And one of the cables goes outside and goes into the switcher, and the other cable is going inside. There is a box inside that gives you the multi-view.
Okay.
And it's the same for all 4 cables. So the second one, the camera, you plug exactly into the second one, and then again one cable goes to the switcher and one cable goes to the multi-view, so you can see it here. The same with the third one. Goes in, 2 cables out, one goes to the switcher, one to the multi-view. One bigger cable coming out, which also is numbered HDMI 1, HDMI 2, HDMI 3 and HDMI 4. So you just plug it respectively, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's your angles that you switch on a live stream here. I need to open it. Angle 1, it's camera 1. Select angle 2, it's camera 2. Select 3, it's 3. And the 4 is the Mac Mini screen. Okay. The splitting thing is, that's what you see here, right? So this, when you get the signal in this splitter, it gives you 2 signals that are independent. So this one just shows constantly what all the angles are, and you need it to have like a preview when you want to switch. So what I was doing today, for example, when I was looking at all 4 screens, and I saw, for example, Preston was talking, so I looked if his angle separately where he was sitting was looking fine, focused, like it's not, you know, dark or anything, then I would switch to it. I know it's angle 3, right? So I will just switch to angle 3 and it will go live. Same goes for other angles where you're mixing it to the camera. So this is the box we're using for the live stream. Yes, so the aux4 output goes into the box, cable goes out of the box into the camera, and then from the camera by the HDMI cable it goes in somewhere here in the back, right? The first HDMI. And then by this HDMI, it comes inside the switcher. And on the switcher, you have the controls to turn it off and on. So now all of the 4 camera audio sources are off, but we usually use only one because that's where whole mix that you're mixing on your tablet is coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you mix on the aux4 send, it was going to this cable, to this box, to the camera, and then back to the switcher and comes into the camera 1.
But you said you also have a possibility of recording sound through the camera, and you're also sending the mix generally through the camera, is that right?
No. Sound comes in, and the way you manipulate it is on the tablet, right, with the digital board. One important thing about this box, it should be on, because there is on-off switch. So if it's off, you won't get any sound, and it's sometimes we confuse it. And also the lift and the earth button, the lift should be always on, like not the earth, because you'll get the, not the interference, but I don't know the word, like the ground loop sound.
Okay.
So the lift should be up, otherwise it will sound terrible.
Okay.
Should be on a desktop. LifeStream setup tutorial. So if you'll open it and you'll just play it back, it says step by step what you need to do, and it like shows you where to go, what to click, and so on and so on.
And how did you get there?
I found it on a desktop here.
Oh, yeah.
It says LifeStream setup tutorial. Yeah. So it goes through all the steps that are needed to do on a computer itself. Not the hardware steps, but all the LifeStream, publishing, verification, publishing to the website,
Yeah.
making it available for everyone, and so on and so on. Yeah, one more thing you need to know is there is a separate software now for this switcher that controls the sound itself. So it's here also in the menu. It's called ATM Software Control, and it has a few tabs here. The last one is the audio, and now you can see represented each channel that comes in to the switcher. So for example, we use only the camera number 1, and it's on right now. And you can see the other 2 cameras are also giving you the sound because they have built-in microphones. So they give you some sound, but we don't use it because it sounds terrible. But we might use it, like for example, if you want to do the room, like we want to get some room sound, not just like clean sound from the mics, for example, that we had to do.
Is that what you're using for audience sound rather
Yes,
than?
sometimes, sometimes, yeah, depends. So you can control it either by buttons here or by software here. Software gives you more of the controls, but what basically you need to know is you need to turn at least first camera on, and all of others should be off. The buttons are here, you can see them. You also can control the volume by pressing this up or down button, and it will increase or decrease the volume. But you need to be very careful with that because it doesn't need to, like you need to be careful so it doesn't clip and the sound is not, when they are talking, it could be clipping and the sound will sound very distorting. So you need to not go over the threshold, and like now there is no sound, but you can see here, for example, if I turn it on and I start doing loud sounds, it goes to the red, and that means it probably is very, very close to clipping or clipping. So you need to avoid the red, you need to be in the green or yellow. It happens sometimes, and there are tools to fix it, but it's so you know.